Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the country, around the world, around the state, around the city. Welcome to another episode of the Silk Stocking Sisters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Theresa J. Canada. And again, today we have wonderful guests. You know, all my guests are special, as you know by now, for an episode to talk about what's happening in the North in terms of educational integration, segregation issues. And so we have today two guests who are affiliated with the Urban Suburban Program in Rochester, New York. So I want to welcome Miss Felicia Smith and Miss Latasha Pride. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for having us.
All right, this is wonderful. I was mentioning before we got started recording that I have affiliation with Rochester, New York, because I attended the University of Rochester twice as an undergraduate and a doctoral student. So I knew of this program, and so I mentioned that. I said, let me see if I can get the director, Miss Smith, and get one of the educational specialists, Miss Pride, on to talk about what's happening, the history of the program, the goals of the program, and how they've changed over the years, because this is like back in the day that I knew about it. So, and also what the educational focus for students who participate in the program are like. And how do you measure success for this program? That's very important because it's still in existence. That means there has to be some success, if otherwise it wouldn't still be in existence. And also, I want to talk about the role of parents. Sometimes we forget about parents are crucial aspects for the program for the students specifically to be successful. So we're going to probably have to have two episodes of this to talk about all the information that I want the two of you to share. So,
Mhm.
first of all, let me allow Miss Felicia Smith and Miss Pride to introduce themselves in terms of their affiliation with the program and their roles in the program specifically. We'll start with the program director, Miss Smith.
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Felicia Smith, and I'm the director of Monroe One BOCES Urban Suburban Interdistrict Transfer Program. Um, it is located in Rochester, New York. The program is the first and the oldest voluntary school desegregation program in the United States.
Yay!
Thank you. And we last year we celebrated 60 years. We're going into our 61st year. And the program, because it is voluntary, we currently have 14 participating districts who are also committed to inclusive education opportunities, intercultural learning, and just improving the educational landscape across our community for all students and also for impacting families as well. Let's see where we can start with urban suburban is that it wasn't always called just urban suburban. Initially, when it was created in the 60s, in the midst of a lot of turmoil and riots, it was called Project US. And the theme and the purpose is still primarily the same to voluntarily reduce and decrease racial isolation and opportunities. So today, students who live in the city of Rochester, regardless of their ethnicity, they can apply and possibly participate in the program. Once they are invited and accept placement into the program in one of those 14 districts, they're considered a part of that district just as if they live there. And the expectation is that they will graduate out of that district. So they would move in accordance with how the other students that actually live there move. If they started in first grade, they don't reapply, second grade, third, fourth, and so forth. They go right through all of the same process as if they lived in the district and it afforded all of the resources, opportunities, and supports of the families that live in the district the same.
Okay, well, let me just pause a quick question. So
Mhm.
what's the transportation like? Because of course these students are leaving the city of Rochester and
Yes.
traveling to these areas. And I want to also mention, Ms. Pride, when we get to you, can you then tell us what areas you cover? Okay. But I know there are different areas and they have different people sending people to different areas and who are responsible for them. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms.
So
Pride,
it
you handle Hilton, Penfield, Pittsford, and Spencerport, is that correct?
Yes. So,
Okay.
hi, my name is Latasha Pride. Something about me is that I am an alum of the program also. So I
All
kind
right.
of
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I come with kind of the full scope of it. I joined the program in high school, or so I would say middle school at about seventh grade at Brockport, and then I went all the way through the program and continued on to college here in Rochester as well. And then I came back and came in as an education specialist. So within our program, we have 14 districts. Those 14 districts are divided among 3 education specialists in the program who all have various backgrounds, such as mine. And then from there, we assist those districts as needed. And the ones that I cover are Hilton, Pittsburgh, Pennsfield, and Spencerport. I know, our director was talking about the program and talking about Urban Suburban, but I always tell people what I find the most special about it is that it's all voluntary. So the families choose to participate and the suburban districts choose to participate, and it's rooted in that equity, access, and opportunity, which we really love and enjoy for our families.
Well, let me ask a question. You just mentioned something. The parents from the other districts support. What's the reaction from the other districts for students from Rochester coming into their district? That's my question to you, specifically in terms of education.
So, I just coin in it. I know Dr. Canada inquired first about transportation. So we
Mhm.
collaborate with RCSD, Rochester City School District. They are great partners. They provide all of the transportation for all of our students. So families don't have to pay for transportation.
Excellent.
Across those 14 districts, we collaborate with them for transportation. And I'll hand it over to Latasha about the welcoming and how the families might feel. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is the districts are very welcoming. So we host a lot of meet and greets with our family prior to them starting in the upcoming school year. We also host family orientations where they have the opportunity to meet principal staffs, walk the buildings. A lot of districts will even order food trucks. They are eager and want to get to know the students that they are welcoming into the district. We don't see it as kind of like a separation. Once that student enters that district, that student is a educational resident of that district and has all the access and capabilities that any other typical student would have as well.
Well, let me ask another question here now. I really want to talk about the role of parents, but it doesn't matter which way we go with this. But I
Mhm.
think this is the appropriate time to go there. When it
Mhm.
comes to like special like programs in the school, are parents able to go to those districts for those activities or no?
Yeah, we encourage parents. When parents join Urban Suburban, they understand that they are a part of that district and that they are required to really immerse themselves and develop those relationships because they don't want their student to feel like they're there alone. And
Okay.
we take the journey with them. So, right at the beginning, Ms. Pride mentioned the new family orientations. That's a time again to remind parents you're getting into a new district. This is your home district. It's imperative that you're at those open houses, teacher conferences. If you can, support the Parent Teacher Association, be involved because this is your new home. So they're actually navigating two communities. They're navigating their residential community,
Mhm.
they're navigating their educational community. And the students, they do the exact same thing. So they're
Really?
yeah, they are navigating home in their community, their urban community, and then they're navigating their suburban community. So they're truly developing life skills that are going to serve them well as adults and young adults once they graduate from high school. So, again, our program is deeply grounded and rooted in parental involvement. Yeah, I think that is why our program has lasted. I know it is. Bless you.
I
That's the
I
key,
know it.
right?
yeah.
I would just affirmatively say that
Yes.
parents are the heartbeat of the urban suburban program because those parents are ready to make sacrifices. Their kids get up earlier because they have to
Yes.
take buses. Those parents have to travel farther, because their school is not just around the corner. So they make huge sacrifices to ensure that their student is there, they're on time, they have what they need, and that they're supporting them. And it is a big sacrifice of time,
Yes, it is.
commitment, especially if they have multiple children
That's
and
right.
all of them are not in the program.
Well, if one child's enough, right?
I often tell our families entering the program and while they're in the program, like, I wouldn't have succeeded in my placement at Brockport had it not been the support of my parents, had it not
Oh,
been them making the drives back and forth to Brockport on a regular basis.
yeah.
And, once I graduated and my younger sister was in the program as well, my mom was like, "I'm so happy we don't have to make that drive anymore."
But those are see, this is the point I'm trying to talk about, the sacrifices that people do. And I think that the whole role of parenting, I developed a curriculum about early childhood is one of my specialties, and I've developed a curriculum about early childhood education, how parents view, want to be involved and how they want to be involved with their child's education. So this is really kind of supporting my research that parent involvement is key. Without parent involvement, sometimes it means I don't know how well the student is, but the success of any kind of program is
Mhm.
probably inclusive of parent involvement. Am I correct?
Yes.
It is definitely. Our parents commit to attend what are called parent group meetings. And those parent group meetings serve multiple purposes.
Okay.
They're driven by the topics the parents have indicated they want more information on, and our incredible education specialists coordinate those meetings. Right now, most of them are on Zoom, but we do have an open house where all of our families are invited to a hosting district, and we introduce all of our what are called parent advisory council representatives.
Okay.
So our parent advisory or our advisory council is similar to a PTSA. However, they volunteer and they really are the boots on the ground in the districts because they've walked that journey and they can help new families in their journey. So that's another critical piece of the urban suburban program is that we listen to and we work collaboratively with our parents. There are critical partners in the success of our students and of this program. So
Good.
they are important partners, and we let them know that at every opportunity.
Okay. Now we've covered the role of parents in the program. Correct. That's good. And then we talked about the history of the program. Correct. Now you talked about the goals. Have the goals. Now I know Miss Smith has been around 11 years, give or take.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now, can you share with the audience the goals of the program that were initial goals of the program back when it was initiated to the point now? Have they changed over the years?
They have changed. Initially, when the program started as Project US, it was a voluntary two-way program.
Okay.
So that means that urban families
Oh,
are able to attend suburban districts.
right.
And suburban families who wanted an urban experience were able to ac- attend the city experiences in the city schools. So
Okay.
when I started in 2014, there was still a little bit of the suburban piece where a lot of the urban school districts did not have full-time kindergarten. So they did in the city, and that was the suburban to urban
Okay. With the
mixture.
connection.
But now they all have full-time kindergarten.
Okay.
So that component has kind of gone away. Also, we had great partnership, but a lot of leadership changes have happened in Rochester City School District. And once it settles, we are again hoping to have the opportunity for suburban families to be able to have an urban experience.
Okay. That's one of the goals now moving
That's
forward.
yeah, that's definitely one of the goals. And of course, our goals are, of course, to expand opportunities for all of our families and expand the numbers. So when I started in 2014, there were 7 districts. In 2015, we turned 50 and invited 7 more districts. So now we're at 14 districts, and it has allowed for a larger capacity to fill open seats in those suburban districts and expand opportunities for urban families to apply to urban suburban.
Okay, I want to go to something else with Miss Pride, but
Mhm.
before I change, let's go back. I'm thinking about what's currently happening. As you know, we have an aging society. Okay. And as a result, what is it like for, there's some school districts have less enrollments they did in the past. So I want to know what's the strategy or procedure that you're going to take with that situation. And I think more so in the suburban districts than it is in the urban districts. Can you give me some insight in terms of what you think is going to be happening with that?
Well, we see it happening currently. We see some different dynamics. We see that more urban families are moving to suburban locations, number one.
Okay.
And number two, we're seeing that the enrollment in our urban setting is decreasing for public schools. Now, the charter schools are expanding like wildfire, but our public school is seeing a huge decrease.
Enrollment.
Again, because folks are leaving, they're not only leaving the city, they're leaving Rochester.
At Rochester, right?
Yeah, they're leaving the city of Rochester and going to different states, but they're also leaving the city of Rochester and moving into suburban districts. So the city public schools are battling with a decreased enrollment and possibly having to close schools because of that.
The lack of enrollments.
The lack of enrollment for our for our suburban schools, we're seeing that it is different depending on the district. Like one of our larger districts, they usually have more open seats, but that's impacted because they're putting up different housing opportunities. So that decreases the number of open seats that might be available to urban suburban.
Got it.
Because again, our program is voluntary. And so we fill open seats in districts. They don't create
Create new
replacements exactly
Okay.
to fill urban suburban kiddos.
Okay, that's interesting you made that point because,
Mhm,
if we think about now what's happening in terms of looking at equity, inclusion, and diversity, it's changed
mhm,
the dynamics of how we can address things. Okay. Um,
absolutely.
but I think also you've made a good point that the fact that many people are moving away from Rochester, which
Mhm,
normally, where program began, it was just mostly Black and maybe some Latinos in the city of Rochester. And that
mhm,
was the gist of who was available to go to the suburban districts. So now that that has changed, and you've explained it very succinctly in terms of what's happening, that's what I want people to know about that. But now I want to switch over and go back to what is the edge, and I'll go this to Miss Pratt. This is I'm address this to you first. What is the educational focus for students who participate in the program? Can you talk a little bit about that, especially from your own personal experience?
So I feel like the focus is the access to higher quality learning environments,
Right.
but it now and always supports the whole child. So that includes the strong academic instructions, but also the social emotional development, the identity, and the confidence. We tell our families all the time, they're learning about you just as well as you're learning about them. So we want you to bring who you are to these placements, just like they're introducing you to different things that their school may be accustomed to.
Now, having been a person who participated, I want you to tell me your personal experience about this. Okay, can you share that with us, please?
Sure. So, my personal experience about going to a suburban school was it definitely was a change of pace, especially having older sisters who were in high school in um, urban district and in the city of Rochester.
Right.
They had different things that would be huge for them, but not huge for us. So, like the change in clothing, they were looking for you really. I'm gonna date myself, but like FUBU and and things of that.
That's okay. Look, I can go further. Don't worry about it. I can go further. Okay. About hot cans. Okay, come on. That goes back. Okay.
Yeah, where I was in high school asking my mom about my savings account because I was looking to purchase a car because all my peers were getting cars when they were 16. So I think just the climate changes because of where you are and what, is popular to your school in those moments. But I think at the end of the day, you're still students, you're still in your environments. It's just your way of living changes because of those perspectives.
Well, did you pick up some specific kind of socialization differently in those experiences as opposed to had you attended schools still in the city? Do you think?
So I don't feel like the socialization changed. I felt like I was more prepared to handle conflicts and situations that arose because I was at learning to advocate at an earlier age than I feel like most of like my siblings or my older sisters were.
That's right.
Yeah, so when I was running into conflicts later on in life in college and things like that, I knew how to take it on or how to handle it because I had already encountered it before and was given those tools by my parents in the school of how to work through that. So that was something that I was very grateful for because I felt like I was more prepared. And even educational wise, when I got to my college and some of my peers were struggling with things, that was knowledge that we had learned freshman, sophomore year in high school, so it wasn't as much of a gap for me as it was for some of my peers.
So do you think your educational experience overall was more enhanced by attending the Urban Suburban Program?
I would most definitely say that because, when I was in, urban suburban, I was skiing. That's not something that is typical,
What is that again?
Yeah, to be in high school and to be skiing on your gym during your gym classes, it was very community based. Like we were taking golf lessons and tennis. So it was very, it brought in a lot of community based learning that I feel like I wouldn't have had access to.
Or exposure to.
Or exposure to. Yes. 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 That level of exposure.
So that's some of the things that I talk about in my book about the difference because I began in the fourth grade part of a program where I was sent to a different school, and addressed the fact that having that exposure early on, and I think the earlier the better. It's
Mhm.
myself, you between the two of you, I the exposure you get that you wouldn't necessarily get if you had stayed in your same school district. Right?
Mhm.
Now, mind you, not that your education was suffered, but it exposed you to more. It enhanced your experience in life. Correct?
Yes, and I make it very clear to everyone, it's different levels of education anywhere you go.
That's right.
So I never wanna be like, this place is better than this place. No, it's just a different exposure level. It's different access based off of where you are. That's it. My sisters grew up, really into fashion. I didn't have that exposure, but financial stability, I had a savings account before I even had a job.
Priorities. But
Yeah, so
okay. So you're now confirming what I've been saying about how exposure is important. I believe that this urban suburban program has done a fabulous job of allowing students who came out of the city of Rochester to be exposed to situations socially, culturally, educationally that
Mhm.
they would not necessarily have had they stayed in the city school. That's just my point. Because I know people whose children have attended the program. That's why I wanted to get Miss Smith on and have you on to talk about this program so people will know about it because they don't know about this program across this country. They don't know about this. Okay. So I'm just saying you're now also confirming what I said to people. This is what happens when you have a child being able to have access. Okay. The part of it is lack of access. Am I correct?
yes, it is, just like in comparison, and, I hadn't been to school for a very long time, so it's just it could be a little different now, but, like, when I got ready to work, I went down to my counselor office, and I was like, "Hey, I can work now," and they were like, "Sure, get your parents to sign this, here's your work permit," and that was it. Where a lot of my cousins, they had to do way more steps in order to just get their permit, within the school. So it's again, that's exposure and that access that kinda helps prepare you a little differently.
Good, good, good. Now, Miss Smith, we've talked about different things of the parenting, so forth and so on. Let me know what else do parents get involved in? Do they help with is there fundraising? Can people donate? to this program. Can you fill me in on something about that?
Absolutely. Our parents are incredible. They pledge, they fundraise, and 100% of that money, it goes actually back to urban suburban students in the form of a urban suburban scholarship. So we are always looking for organizations or individuals that would like to continue to support the urban suburban program by donating. You can donate by going to monroe.edu/US, and you can click on the parent tab and fill out information to donate, or you can contact our office.
Give us the numbers. Give us the phone numbers, please.
We are 585-249-7045.
Say it again.
585-249-7045. And we would be ecstatic to give you our address and additional information to receive your kind donation. So
Okay, folks, come on. That you got the information, so let's follow up. Gotta help my folks from Rochester. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, like I said, we'll hopefully, we're sharing the information so people can know. It's good to know the information and how people can continue to support these programs. We need programs to continue to exist, and so we want to make sure we can support them financially as well as emotionally. Okay, so any way that you can, please, everyone out there, contact this Urban Suburban Program and be able to support them as well because we need to have these programs continue more so now than ever before. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending another episode of Still Talking Sisters podcast, and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.